problem on the web, and it comes back to that speed and volume comment, is what we found was that those systems aren't built to handle web content because they create so many jobs, and then the translation agency charges you massive project management fees to ship them all over the place. So we actually did, and it took us about 3 months of 3 or 4 guys developing to actually integrate with both those systems. Because that's exactly what you're doing. We're saying, you know, if someone creates the content, you hit a machine translation or a memory tool set like Trados or Across, they ship it out to an external translator, they do the translation, push it back in, you publish it. And we thought that was pretty clever. But once we actually released it, and 120 of the clients started to use it, it broke in about a month, or a couple of weeks actually. So we had some translators that had, you know, 1,500 jobs waiting for them to deal with.
Because it was for the web and not
exactly.
paper documents or...
Paper documents is different, but because paper, and that's been traditional workflows. Is someone writes a paper document in a Word and sends it out to Trados and off you go. Right. Where those tool sets do have, if you like, and the way we structure it is to say, if you want to go into a, because they're not cheap, you know, you're paying 100 odd grand for Across. I don't know what Trados is, but it's probably similar. Some of our corporate clients will use that platform for legal documentation on the web, or if they're like a biomedical company, and so where they need it's very specific content and it needs a specialist to know how to translate it, then they'll push it out into those systems. But for 80 or 90% of the content on the website, it breaks the platform.
So was it the volume of the content itself, or was this actually the project management in terms of shipping out the...
It was the speed and volume that it was created. So it was too fast. Those systems, what we found was basically the more human touch points you've got in that workflow, the less chance you've got of it working. And those systems, no matter what they do, someone's got to sit there, job lands. Because most translation companies will use external translators for the bulk of their translation work. So they have someone who sits there and sees a job land from a client, they push it out to that freelance translator, they get it back in and they push it up. So it broke on the web because that project manager couldn't cope with, because every time someone changes a paragraph on a page, that's a job. Yes. And so one solution that some companies do is they bundle up a whole bunch of jobs and send it out. The problem then is that you're waiting 4 or 5 days for that content to come back, and maybe 2 weeks, and by then it's too late, because that's the other scenario on the web. Once it's published, once it's live, it's accessible to everybody. So if your English version has had a paragraph or a new update on a product page and it's not carried across, or it's 2 weeks before it's updated in the Chinese and French and German versions, it's too late. So it's kind of a combination of volume and speed and access points. So what we worked out was that the only way to solve it was to embed that inside the content management platform and to bring the translators into the system. So you've got to get them to actually go and log into the platform, translate in context and publish. If you can't do that, then it'll break. I'm going to show you how we do it. NATO's seen a bit of this, but we've actually changed it since then. So I'll just set it up over here. So a couple of things that we've done to try and, I guess, solve some of these problems is the first, we got the product away from being a download install, so it's actually you guys familiar with cloud-based applications on demand platform. So we run Shadow now on server farms, Amazon server farms in the US and Europe, and people have their own on-demand accounts, and they can go in and create a new site in about 20 seconds. And what we did was we lowered the price point, so you can create a site now for about 30 or 40 euros a month, because we needed to make it easier for companies to get on the platform. So this is like the, see? So basically what you can do inside on-demand platform now is you can go in, hit the create new site button, and you can create a new site and you get all your access and things. So inside Shadow, the couple of things that we do that we learn is, the first is you need to make it easy for people to go and access the different language versions of their website. And this area down here is if you like, your sections, the pages of those sections, and the containers on the pages. So, and the front end of the site looks something like this. So, when you've logged into Shadow, what you get is you can see where the containers are on the page, and you can go in and edit content and do all those sorts of things that you want to do. So what you find is from a language point of view, there's a couple of things. The first is you can't lock people into, companies need to have some flexibility around what translation services. So translation service is like a human translation company or Google Translate or Language Weaver, whatever it is. So you need to give people the flexibility to use different translation services for different pieces of content on their site. So some clients for blogs would be happy for hit a machine translation and publish. For product areas, they prefer hit machine translation, have a human translation, overlay, and then publish. And so what we do is over here, you've got the language format. So you can basically set up what we call an auto translation framework on your different language pairs. So in this case, you're saying English to French. You can use a translation gateway, and you can pick. There's about 150 of them that you can pick which translation service you want to use. What that does, that auto translate capability, is basically every time content changes in that section or in that page in the English version, it will automatically pick it up, send it out to the translation service that you picked for the French version. You don't have to do anything. We used to have a button that said initiate translation, and like most process documents, no one does it, so you have to automate it. You quickly learn, which is particularly if you've ever worked for consulting companies, that they spend half their life writing process documents that no one reads. So one of the key things you've got to get out of this is you can't solve the web-like language challenge without technology. You can't do it. It's impossible. If you've got too many human touch points, it breaks. So we automated. So you've got the option to automate that process, and that was a really important step in terms of solving some of the problems. So
do you just send the edits, or do you send the entire document?
What we do is we send, so it's actually HTML content. So someone's gone onto a web page and created some new content. We wrap it around and we send it, depending on where it's going. If it's internal, then it just creates the content job. If it's going external, we use XLIF, which is like a language variant of XML. So most of Trados and Across and most of the TM systems will use XLIF as their standard way of moving content around. And so you can do the auto translate feature. The other thing that we did, and this is only very recently that we've done this, and Nato hasn't seen this, is I'll take you through an example of what we do. So you go in and you want to create a new page.